Hello and welcome to this video on writing a linear equation from words and then solving it. So this is the second video in the series on linear graphs and equations. And these are the questions that we're going to cover. All right, let's try it. Maybe you want to pause the video and attempt to form an equation from these word problems and then see if you get the answer right. Let's check it out. So it says using x for the unknown number, write an equation, then solve it to find the number. The product of 6 and 4 less than a number is -4. So it looks scary, sounds scary, but it's all right. The product means timesing. There's some key words in here that we translate the English into maths. All right. Product of 6 and 4 less than a number. 4 less than a number. Let's let that number be x. So 4 less than x is written like that. I have another video on this for writing expressions, so you might want to go back and watch that. So 4 less than a number, you might think that it's written 4 take x, but you flip it. Just want to emphasize that point. So 4 less than a number is -4. Now, is means equals. So equals -4. And we just double check all the time. The product of 6 and 4 less than a number, so product means times, is -4. Now it says, then solve it to find the number. So the hardest bit really is writing the equation, just knowing how to translate that language into a maths equation. Now let's check it out. So first of all, we've got to expand the brackets in order to solve it. Expanding brackets, you use the crab claw technique. 6 times x is 6x. You don't have to have that times sign there. It's implied. I'm just going to put that over here. Oops, that didn't really work, did it? So 6 times x is 6x. 6 times -4. Positive times a negative is a negative. -24. Okay. Now, we get it. In the last video, I looked at how to solve linear equations. So that was the first video of the series. Get the x's on one side and your normal numbers on the other. So I can see I've got an annoying lingering number over here. I want to get that -24 over to the other side. So I must do the opposite sign. I must plus 24 to both sides. And that's going to mean that -24 plus 24 is 0. No need to write it. 6x is left over the other side. Now -4 plus 24, we're crossing into the positives. It's going to be 20. Now, we want x on its own. We need to get rid of the 6 out the front of it. That's the same as 6 times x. Opposite of timesing is dividing. So we want to get rid of that 6. So we're dividing by 6. What we do to one side, we do to the other. The 6's cancel. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 20 divided by 6 is going to be some sort of decimal. So we leave it as a fraction, really. And we can actually put it simpler. I'm just going to throw it in my calculator. It's 10/3 if you divide that by 2 on top and bottom. So sometimes your number can be a fraction, annoyingly, but yeah, that's our answer for this one. Let's check out the next one. So when 5 more than 2 lots of a number, all right, I'll underline these keywords. 5 more than means 5 plus or plus 5. 2 lots of a number. What does lots of mean? Think about your operations. Plus, take, times, and divide. You're always thinking, or there's square and square root, but we're not doing that this lesson. 2 lots of a number, well, that's multiply. So then 2 lots, 2 times x, because we're saying x is the unknown number. So 5 plus 2x is tripled. See, these can be confusing. It's weird. I've done many of these, so I'm trying to teach it. Is tripled. What does tripled mean? It means times 3. I'm going to put that 3 out the front. So this whole thing, that whole bracketed term is tripled. Make sure you put brackets around it because the whole thing's triple. The result. Now that is a key word that means equals. The result is 10. So words like the result and is mean the sign equals. Now let's solve it because that's what we've got to do. Or let's make it look a bit simpler first. 2 times x. Algebra terms, we just don't even write the multiply sign. All right. Now brackets. If there's brackets, the first step is to expand them. Crab claw. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 2, 6x. Nice. Now, what we want to do, just like the last one, we get our x's on one side, our normal numbers on the other. I'm just going to write that here. X's, normals. Okay, so I've got a normal number lingering over here. I want to get him over to the other side. How can I do that? Well, I use the opposite sign to undo. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. 15 take 15 is just 0. We got 6x. 10 take 15, well, we're crossing into the negatives. -5. And then x equals -5 over 6. Because, oops, I skipped a step. Divide by 6 on both sides. Now, hopefully that is looking all right. And last question here. Okay, so using x for the unknown number, write an equation, then solve it. 4 more than 3 times a number. So you can break it down by underlining. 4 more than, well, more than means add. 4 more than 3 times a number, times means times. 3 times a number. So the number is called x. So I'm just, there's a little invisible multiply sign there. Is equivalent to, that means equals. 1 less than, do you remember back here when we have 4 less than a number, the take 4 comes after the number. You're taking from the number. Is equivalent to 1 less than, so you're taking 1, then 5 times the number. Okay? And that's going to be our equation. That's the hard bit done. Now let's solve it. I'll just write it a little bit simpler because we've got a sign there that we don't need. Algebra says we don't have to write the times sign in between. Now let's solve it. We want our x's on one side and our normals on the other because we want to collect like terms. There is an annoying normal number here. Let's get it over to the other side. All right. How do I get it to the other side? Well, it's at +4 at the moment, so we do the opposite. Take 4 from both sides. Let's do it. So that will mean 4 take 4 is 0, so no need to write it. And we got 5x there. -1 take 4, getting more negative on the number line. That's -5. Now, look at this guy. He's there and he's meant to be over with the x's on this side. How can I get him there? I need to do the opposite sign to undo. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. What's 3x take 5x? Well, we're crossing through the negatives. 3 take 3 is 0. Take another 2 will get me to the 5x. So we're going to go take -2x. 5x take 5x, 0. And we're left with -5 on that side. Final step. Now, sometimes it helps to circle the variable. -2x, want to get rid of that -2. Opposite of times is divide by -2. Divide by -2 on both sides. that negative 2 on negative 2 is 1. X equals 5 on 2, since negative divided by negative is a positive, which you could write as 2.5. Okay, now you might want to rewatch this video. It's a little bit complicated, or go back. If this didn't make sense at all, go back and watch the video on finding expressions. I'm done. I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.